Will Noah Hanifin be a Coyote? Marty, whoever Walsh is at it again. And we have a Jackery McBain injury update. Hit the intro, Robyn.
You're Locked On Coyotes, your daily podcast on the Arizona Coyotes, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to the show, everybody. This is Locked On Coyotes, #1 daily podcast on the Arizona Coyotes. Today's episode brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more right now. If new customers get $150 bonus bets with any winning $5 bet, $5 money line bet. It's $150 if your team wins. Visit FanDuel.com/locked-on to get started. I'm your host, Robyn alongside Matthew Jacobson.
Hello. I am currently working on getting Connor McDavid to the Arizona Coyotes.
Oh, well, Matthew's working so hard at that. You know, we got a great show on today's episode because we're talking about, he's talking about Connor McDavid coming here, but why don't we go ahead and start off with another potential trade, one that's been linked based off the 32 Thoughts podcast a while back, a couple days ago. Matthew just never got to talk about it. Noah Hanifin has been linked to the Arizona Coyotes. There's a couple of teams who have been brought up. I think the San Jose Sharks were one name, but they're like, yeah, but he's not going there.
Because it wouldn't make any sense.
No, it wouldn't. Because the Sharks are god awful and they're a different part of their rebuild. Coyotes are in the sense when they can acquire pieces to try to get more competitive.
Yeah, and he currently, just to put this out there, has a modified no trade clause. So you're gonna have to make sure he's gonna want to come here. And obviously, any potential trade would have to involve a contract extension. But I more so want to give my very uneducated opinions as to why I don't really think this makes sense. And it's pretty simple. Age. The guy's 26. Whatever contract you're going to give him, it's probably going to be at least 6 years. I have become weary about the amount of guys that in their late 20s, early 30s get long contracts, but I'm not even going to make that argument here. Just that's a thing that, to give you context, I get weary about. But when it comes to a guy like Hanifin, I'm going to look at his offensive numbers real quick as I also pull up one other defenseman's offensive numbers. Very, very minor thing. So far this year, 14 games, 2 goals, 4 assists, 6 points, -8. He's on a bad team. That plus minus, yeah, he might not be playing amazing, but he's not playing terrible. He's on a team that's not really doing him any favors. Juuso Valimaki has 2 less points, 2 less goals this season than him. So it's very similar offensive numbers. And last year, the offensive numbers for Valimaki: 4 goals, 30 assists, 34 points. Hanifin, 7 goals, 31 assists, 38 points. Hanifin's better. I'm not saying he's not better.
Hanifin is the better player. And I think here's another thing too, that here's one thing, I'm going to try to argue in favor of it, but not say completely in favor of it, because I know my bounds and where and my limits and what I need to, how I need to view this. I try to view it as objective as I can. I look at Coyotes defensemen and the way they come here. I think, Valimaki came from the Flames organization. And he was kind of overlooked back, over with the Flames organization. And I think in general, you take a look at other defensemen that come in, they have subpar years with whatever team they're with. They come join the Coyotes and they have great years. Why? Because they have better chances. And the team is, I think, it's growing in a better direction, in my opinion. I feel like a team like the Coyotes could be an immensely great change of pace for him. I think everyone is right, though, in saying that it would make no sense for the Coyotes to trade for him unless a contract extension would be in place, because you'd want to secure a player like that long term. However, I just don't think, I think that there are other options out there. I think it's a good sign, though. I think it's an immensely good sign that the Coyotes are linked to a player like Noah Hanifin in terms of trade talks and getting players like that.
I know I was reading one report that said a conversation had happened, but that doesn't mean that it progressed. And One last thing I wanted to point out for my very rough service level overview. That's I just grabbed Juuso Välimäki as an example when I was first looking at him. 18 and a half minutes for Juuso on average per game. Noah Hanifin this year is at 22. Noah Hanifin is a better overall player, a better defensive player, slightly better offensive numbers. I just brought again Juuso Välimäki just to show like a comparison for defenseman production. And also has better matchups. And friend of the show, Mike Gould, did say that he also it wouldn't exactly be an upgrade. It would be slotting in everyone where they belong. So it would be like Juuso would go down to the third line, Hanifin would be on the second line or first line, depending on what you want to do with Moser. So there is logic to it. I'm not trying to like act like there isn't. I think that there'd be a good argument for why I shouldn't be co-hosting a hockey podcast if I was trying to say it made 0 sense and Hanifin sucks or something. I just wanted to bring that overall you're getting something pretty similar for cheaper out of Välimäki, who's a year younger. I don't really know if I'd want to pull the trigger because Hanifin's a good player and you need to include at least from kind of conversations I've had of just like podcasters / reporter types, not actual people that are making these moves. It would be like a first, and I think I threw Lipkin because I didn't want to throw away Lutzy, but it would probably be another asset, maybe two. I don't know if the Coyotes are in the position to make that move yet. They have a lot of assets, and they do have extra forwards. Like as much I like Lipkin, if it was between like him and Lutzy, those are the two that you have to throw one in. I'm throwing in Lipkin because I like Lutz's shot a little more. I don't want to be in that position yet. I don't think the Coyotes are ready to make that move, especially for a guy that is he's not 30, he's not over the hill, but he's in that part of his game where this is where he should be competing for a cup. He is right there in that prime. Your prime is about 27 to 32, somewhere in there. He's right about to hit that, and the Coyotes are not ready to compete at the highest levels yet. I don't think it makes sense, but it would immediately make them better.
Oh, absolutely. And like I said, I think it is a good sign that the Coyotes are one of the teams that are linked to such a trade. That kind of gives you the idea that they are willing to move in that direction, and that they are kind of like getting feelers of like how players might perceive coming to the Arizona Coyotes, how better players might perceive coming to the Arizona Coyotes at this point in their rebuild, which is I wouldn't say late, but like, mid rebuild now at this point.
Yeah, and they are a little ahead of schedule.
Yeah.
And the talent is there that if that consistency was there, they could be a playoff team as early as this year, but the consistency is not quite there. The development is not quite where it needs to be yet because they're still on that path. They are still doing the work. They are still working through this. This was not the playoff year. So if this was next season, if we're talking about this exact same scenario, he has 1 year left, which he wouldn't. He'd be on his next contract next year. But let's just say we're talking next year. Then a move like this makes sense. I just don't think it makes sense right now. Good player. It would immediately make the Coyotes better. I'm just not sure if they should be moving from those kind of assets yet.
Absolutely. I want to point out this was posted actually today in an article from James Reeve of fiveforhowling.com. One of our favorite sites because former co-host Carl Pavlik runs the place. And it's it's the last sentence of an article, and I think it kind of sums up what I said, and it kind of gives you an idea of like what again, how we should really view this. It's like there are many things that could prevent the Coyotes from attaining a player of Hanifin's quality, but early reports are at least a clear indication of intention from the team and should be viewed positively by the fan base, even if it's not the deal that ultimately happens.
I agree. I actually 110% agree with that. It also basically agrees with my opinion too of it's not quite exactly, but like it's not maybe this isn't the deal itself, but it's a good sign of things that might be coming down the line. So I like the Coyotes' spirit. I like their spunk for wanting to be in stuff like this. I just think it's a little early.
Oh, absolutely.
Just a little bit.
But again, you gotta entertain. You got to give fans some glimpse of hope. right? You got to give some positive outlook to the fans to kind of bring more people in coming down the road.
And show you want to win. I think that's the most important thing. Show you want to win.
Like really quick before they go into the break, like increasing your TV viewership 900%.
Oh yeah, did you guys catch that video I made about that? 900%. If we have time in the third segment, we'll touch on that. Anyway.
Absolutely. Anyways, we'll continue to talk about it. We got Marty Walsh of the NHLPA said something that kind of it rubbed some people the wrong way.
It rubbed me the wrong way. It rubbed me the wrong way.
We'll get to that right after a word.
And today's episode is brought to you by Jace Medical. You know, we spend a lot of time together, you and I. We get fired up together on wins and losses, who starts and who sits. And I'm thankful for this connection that we have. And today, I want our chats to get a little more personal. I just learned that you can get a 1-year supply on ED medications. You realize what this means, right? Bring on the extended travel. Bring on the next natural disaster or supply chain issue. You are covered, my friend. You don't have to worry about whether or not you can refill your generics on Cialis, Viagra, or whatever else, because it is possible because of our friends at Jace Medical. Go online right now at jacemedical.com and receive your 12-month supply on your daily medication. Remember to use promo code LOCKEDON at checkout for a discount as well. A verified customer had this to say about Jace, quote, I am thankful for this service. Supply chain issues caused me to cut my pills in half to have it, and I ordered most of my daily meds with a year supply. I also ordered an antibiotic kit. I feel secure now. Prices are lower than local pharmacies. I highly recommend it for everyone. If you or someone you love would get some peace of mind having a year supply of any of your daily medication, go to jacemedical.com and see if it's offered for you. Remember to use promo code LOCKEDON for $20 off your purchase.
I want to thank everyone once again for making this show your first listen every day. We're free and available everywhere you get your podcasts, including on YouTube, the SiriusXM app, and ad-free on Amazon Music. All right, Matthew, let's continue talking about latest news from regarding the Arizona Coyotes lately. And a good second segment for this would we talk about what the NHLPA Executive Director said about the Coyotes.
Marty Walsh is almost as big of a mega douche as Alan Walsh. I don't think there's a relation there. And Robyn, I do mean to cut you off a little bit. I'm mad right now. Can I just get on my soapbox and just complain? I want to use expletives, but Sean won't let me. Thank you, Sean. Thank you. But let me just going on this article. It's from the Hockey News. It's by reporter Remy Maste. I am terrible with names.
Yeah.
Good reporter, solid Coyotes reporter. But this is a non-story. This is non-news, and I've seen Coyotes fans reacting to it too. And the takes are just brain dead to me. So I already read over it, but TLDR, Marty Walsh is crying because he feels like crying. So he's talking about, there are a lot of rumors about 2 more expansion teams coming. I would say 3. The first one really is Arizona. Sure, if they move, they're an expansion team, but I get it. He's trying to make a joke. He's trying to be all critical, but he's like, oh, they're playing in front of 5,100 fans, and those games don't even sell out. Every single game is officially sold out. Every single game has been a game sold sellout. Like every ticket has been sold, and it's 4,600. You're off by 500. Of course, they're not selling out in a 4,600 seat building if you think it's 5,100, because the capacity is different between the 2 leagues. Then he also mentions those National Hockey League players deserve to play in a National Hockey League rink. Number 1, I do agree. Number 2, they are all getting paid more than almost anybody that is reading this article. They can suck it up for 3 years. If you are making 6 figures plus, you can suck up playing in a college arena for a couple of years. It's not the permanent solution. If it was, I'd be with you. If it was the solution, we're just going to play here for 5 to 10 years, I would be disgusted as well, and I would be on your side. But it's 3 to 4 temporary for that new building. No, stupid point. It's a couple of years. And then, let's see, he's mentioned the second tenant. Obviously, it's ASU's building. That is a valid point. Not going to argue against that. And then his concern was their search for a permanent home. Quote, I am concerned. I was hoping that they'd be farther along right now and what they're going to do next. We met with them, and I went there at the end of the season. At the end of the season, and they had promised they had going to work on some stuff. Right now, it's just speculation. At the end of last season, Marty, they were still in the campaign for Tempe. Marty, do you not know basic facts? Marty, do you not understand? Do you not understand that they were in the middle of that, Marty? Of course, there were not other backup options they were pursuing. They were kind of stupidly 125% behind this Tempe campaign, though not good enough to run a better campaign. And I've criticized them before on this show over that. All right. So he's talking about that. And now he's like, oh, we're not getting an update. The deadline is January. The NHL has confirmed multiple times the deadline is January.
All-Star break.
Yeah. To give a little bit of additional context, as it was reported by multiple sources, is that essentially, bare minimum, they have to present two viable options, two viable proposals, or essentially a finished proposal. It does, as long as you get one of the two.
And to go a step further, Matthew, it's been reported a couple times already that there is going to be some kind of announcement regarding a plan or two by the end of this month.
That was another report, and I would prefer that sooner one be true as well. Obviously, whenever we say reports, just take it with a grain of salt, all right?
Yeah.
But when you have multiple reports that we're discussing, they are likely a little more valid. But again, grain of salt. So this is what made my blood boil. This is what made me angry. All right. And I know if I want to be credentialed, I shouldn't go flying off the handles like that. But it just frustrates me that someone in this business, all right, that knows the details of stuff like this, because they've met with the NHLPA multiple times last year, and they met with them again, because as soon as the Tempe vote was no, you had the NHLPA breathing down the NHL's necks. Everything, they are all on the same page. This is your deadline. You have to get it done. So crying about it now, well, he said November, I think 12th in the article. Let me fact check real quick, because he said we're at November 12th and the season's moving quickly. I'd love to see more action there. So would I, Marty. I can agree on that. Just because I'm mad at your statements does not mean I can't agree with a couple small things you said. But you're crying about it on November 12th when the deadline is January. All right. If we are getting to Christmas and everything you're hearing is nothing, I get it. I would. But we still got over a month and a half to get this done. Last update we had was they're down to 2 or 3 locations, and that was GM Bill Armstrong saying that, though again, grain of salt, he doesn't build ranks, he builds teams. We are nowhere near the deadline. Why are we doing this now? Why are we again, I know you got to stick up for the players. I get that. All right. But that was your job last year when they announced the mullet thing. That was your job in May when the vote was no and you had these meetings. What are we doing in November about this? Go ahead.
It's just a continued, frustration about it. And I get it. I mean, I get the frustration, but again, you have to think the fact that, an announcement's coming soon. And here's the kicker, that when this announcement comes, let's say it's an actual concrete announcement of a viable plan, because maybe there's a lot of freaking closed door things happening that we don't know about. By the time an announcement's made, but they'll be much closer to putting a shovel in the ground on that announcement versus the Tempe thing. Because why? There's no public vote involved in this time. So it'll speed things up. The moment something concrete exactly happens, they'll put the shovel in the ground probably the next week.
Theoretically. Whenever those contracts are signed, I think Craig Morgan said this. I'm going to present it as a paraphrase. So I don't have the exact quote in front of me, but the way he was talking about it was any other site that wouldn't have that remediation, as soon as the deal is signed, they can have shovels in the ground. And that was around when they were going over different possibilities and throwing out different ideas sometime after the election.
Real talk, I really want that Mesa location, but
that Mesa location would be great.
It'd be perfect. And again, I'm a little bit biased because I live in the area, but I mean, I think even then, it's like it's perfect location, close to the 101, right off the 202. Like you got all the access points, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
I just, again, I know I shouldn't just fly off the handle, but it infuriates me when we're rehashing the same tired, stupid, unnecessary conversations. Like, I get it. This needed to be done years ago. The Coyotes have historically had terrible ownership and equally terrible management. I'm not trying to defend that in any way, shape, or form. And Morello did himself no favors. We've talked about that as well. I just I don't understand why the Coyotes are coming off a win. We're getting ready to head into, I think it's Dallas tomorrow.
or
You know,
tonight when everyone's listening to this.
yeah, tonight when everyone's listening to it, and you know we got a little bit of positive news with the 900% ratings boost. We got a couple other things going on. They're involved in a Noah Hanifin trade rumor that actually
Yeah.
had a report of a
By the way,
confrontation.
yeah, I will say that 900%
Mm-hmm.
is a sign of good thing, of really good things to come. I think, and I couldn't come at a better time. And I think we'll talk a little bit more about that after a quick word, because we're at that point in the in our episode where you gotta get a quick word. And today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Score early this NFL season with FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 moneyline bet. It's $150 if your team wins. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time to get in on the action. The app is so easy to use. There's a wide range of betting options, including spreads, player props, over-unders, and more. I mean, heck, like I said, and once again, if you want to bet that the Arizona Cardinals are going to win a game, if you want to go down that route, sure, be my guest. If they win, you get that $150. So, I mean, it's a nice option to get on that. So visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and kick off the NFL season. FanDuel, official partner of the National Football League. All right, Matthew, let's really quick kind of brush through talking about, McBain and Jack McBain's injury update and some of the fallout and other updates regarding that, because I know because I do want to touch on that 900% increase and the kind of the impact it's made. But let's talk about McBain a little bit first.
Yeah, so Jack McBain sustained an injury in the St. Louis game. No, I didn't see the injury. And after Craig Morgan initially reported it was day to day, it was updated by the official Coyotes PR Twitter account. He is week to week. General rule of thumb: if you watch the hockey guy, week to week means about a month, day to day means about a week. So he's going to miss at least a couple of weeks. And
yeah,
that sucks because he's been having a solid start to his season. I don't think he's had injury issues at all up to this point. So you're also going to want to make sure he doesn't develop injury issues, and you want him to heal properly.
I mean, it could be not too long. Again, like I said, week to week could really mean it could mean a lot of different things. You take a look at Jason Zuka's injury, right?
Mm-hmm.
He was labeled as week to week, and how long was it gone? 3 weeks,
somewhere about there.
Somewhere around there, which like isn't like a crazy amount of long, but you realize the amount of games you miss. Like that's still a decent amount of games. It's a handful of games right there. I feel like losing McBain for a handful of games does hurt. But I'm glad. I'm optimistic about the depth of this team. So,
I mean, one of the stats is that Travis Boyd is apparently the slowest player on the team. But and I like Boyd. He's been playing well this year. But if it wasn't for injuries, he wouldn't really have a spot on the team. And that's not meant to be an insult. Anyway, they officially called up the Mandalorian himself, Milos Kellerman. Look it up. He looks exactly like Pedro Pascal. Last year with the Tucson Roadrunners, 59 games, 14 goals, 16 assists, 30 points, and 14 games to the Coyotes. And as Craig Morgan famously tweeted out, he celebrated that goal like a man. So far this year, 11 games, 2 goals, 4 assists, 6 points. I think it's the same stat line as Noah Hanifin, but at the AHL level, obviously. So there's another little reference for you. And he'll just be a depth forward. He'll probably be your extra forward, unless because with the injuries, of course, O'Brien was going to play, but after that terrible discipline, he should have probably been sat for a game or two. So maybe you see Kellerman play a game. Probably not, though.
Yeah. Speaking of depth, I want to mention this real quick because I feel like it's important. Remember, like in the preseason, we were kind of speculating what kind. And I think it was like during the offseason when we were wondering about Michael Carcone's place on the roster. I don't think we have to worry about that based on what we've seen in the last couple of weeks.
Remember, for a hockey player that is allegedly terrible and doesn't belong on the team, Michael Carcone in 13 games has 6 goals, 2 assists, 8 points, and he has 2 multi-goal games because he had that hat trick and then the 2-goal game against Nashville. If you look at Carcone and expect him to be like Nick Schmaltz,
you'd be
sure. I could see someone throwing a fit for some stupid reason, but I want to bring up the team stats real quick before I move on from this point. Because he before that multi-goal game, he was the 9th highest scoring player on the team. Now he's the 7th. He's 1 point behind Bukestad, a couple points behind Dursey and Michelli, and I don't see anyone saying how Michelli and Dursey sucks or Bukestad sucks this year. I'm not seeing that, so I don't know. It's weird that certain guys just get singled out the way they do.
People get frustrated over like the most random crap regards to Coyotes players, and I'm just like, calm down.
Well, like Yanis Moser. Oh, Yanis Moser needs to go. He probably had like 1 or 2 bad turnovers. He's been so consistently good. I could forgive a couple bad plays because every player is going to have a couple of bad plays. You want to look at the averages. You want to look at overall and overall production and overall net positive to the team and stuff like that.
But we got to remember that, everyone's going to freaking overreact like crazy because what is being a hockey fan without
just constant overreactions. Anyway, you want to get into the ratings thing?
Yes.
Let's
get in the ratings because we only have a few minutes on this. The Coyotes are up 900%. It says a lot of different things about RSNs. One, Matthew, as kind of like my initial thing, they don't work. And number two, I feel like an announcement like that, and like having a report like that, I think is a perfect like setup pre-arena news.
I don't know. I don't want to get too high on that one.
I mean, okay, perfect setup might be a little bit too much of an overreaction.
Mm-hmm.
See what I did there?
Yeah, see, we're all
see what I did there. No, but I think I do think it does have some weight to it if you kind of want to tie those together. Again, loosely tie it. I'm not saying, oh, you're gonna correlate these exactly. No, I'm just saying there might be some loose tie-in if you want to go down that route. But
let me go ahead and add this because remember, 900%. This is where statistics can be. Yeah, and I shouldn't say it like that. It is a valid point. Statistics can very easily be, and you see it all the time in every single realm, from politics to sports to whatever. Statistics get abused all the time. But the point was, oh well, if there's like 100 people watching Coyotes games, and yeah, that boost means nothing. They had access to 800,000 homes. Javier Gutierrez confirmed on PHNX about a month ago, 2 or 3 weeks ago now. That was the access they had, and the ratings got up 900%. They're broadcasting throughout the greater Phoenix area, Albuquerque, and Salt Lake. And again, we're freaking out about the Albuquerque Coyotes and Tucson. You're right, and the backwater of the state with the worst college in the state. GCU better. I'm kidding, Tucson. I just like making Robyn angry, but. Your city is a perfect mini LA, all the same problems, but with a little more of the charm. But no, seriously, a 900% boost. It shows that when it's accessible, the $20 bunny ears right there in the greater Phoenix area will get you these games for free. In the Tucson area will get you these games for free. Accessibility means people will now be able to watch, and if they watch, they can get invested, and if they're invested, they're going to buy merch and want to go to your games and become an actual fan.
Exactly.
It's basic fundamental brand growth, and the fact that the Coyotes, this is one of the reasons why they actually aren't valued that high. Many other reasons, but this is one of them. When there's no accessibility and no product anyone cares about, of course no one's gonna watch or care.
Yeah. No. The thing that annoys me too, that when it's regarding this topic, and I know we're getting really close to being overtime on this, but I kind of want to bring this point out there. It still annoys the hell out of me when DirecTV customers, I see it happen on Twitter/X all the time. It was like, but I can't watch it on DirecTV. Like, my dude, an antenna cost you only $20. Like, please don't complain. It's not that much. It's not that big of a deal.
A one-time purchase, yes, because obviously, like I don't care for like streaming services and like recurring purchases, but a one-time purchase of $20, anyone can do that.
Exactly.
Even if you got to save up a little bit.
I will add one more. This has been a report. I cannot confirm the validity of this because I have not tried it, but someone has said, if you want to give this a try, if you plug a coax cable into the back of your TV and just snake the other side up towards your ceiling, you could get antenna level signal.
God, and I don't understand
antennas.
I don't get it.
I can't, like I said, I cannot confirm the validity of this. I've had a friend tell me that they've tried it and it's worked. Maybe there was an internal tuner in their TV, but.
And I thought I was a conspiracy theorist, Robyn. I thought you told me I was. You're telling people to stick cables and point it at the roof.
But all I'm saying is, like, again, like, it's not that hard to get access to the game if it's like a simple investment or barely any investment at all. Like.
And there are some people in certain parts of the state that aren't getting it and are blacked out, and that sucks. It's one of those things where sometimes it's just going to take some time for the kinks to be ironed out. It sucks. There should be still a couple other options like Cox. I know they're broadcasting it. Dish TV stopped for some reason, and DirecTV stopped. So it's one of those things where once the kinks are ironed out, it'll be fine. It does suck that people right now can't in certain parts of the state. However, right now, you have to look at it as the majority of potential Coyotes fans can watch the games, and that is a net positive.
Because like all the biggest cities in the state can access it. I think that's what they're focusing on, right? Phoenix, Tucson, the Phoenix metro area, it includes, Scottsdale, Mesa, Gilbert, Chandler, all of that, as well as Tucson. I think someone has said, like, I think there is a repeater in the Flagstaff area, so you can maybe get it. If I'm not mistaken, I think there's a repeater somewhere in Casa Grande as well, so you can get it there. So like it covers a pretty giant chunk of the state. There's just like some fringe, like I'm sure, like if you're in Yuma, you probably can't.
That was one of the examples I got was Yuma.
Yeah, or like what would be another one on the complete other side, like maybe Kingman or
possibly Winslow. Sholo.
I was gonna say, or like Winslow or Globe or something like that, but
so it's like it does suck for the time being, but it's one of those things where let's just celebrate the good that is happening for the majority of people, and then just like with anything else, like even just basic technology, like internet to like higher speed internet and whatnot, anything else, you start in the higher populated, bigger cities, and you move outward. So eventually we'll all be included, but right now the majority of us are, and let's be happy for that because it's better than it was before.
Absolutely. It's a lot better because, again, a lot more people are accessing it because it's a lot more affordable.
Yep.
Because RSNs were just crazy. I'm glad we're seeing glad we're seeing that. And I think even Vegas has seen a pretty decent increase. Since
Vegas saw an increase, but like 800,000 people had access to the Coyotes before. How do you run a business as a major 4-sport franchise and your audience is literally less than the Arrowverse when it was on the decline.
Yeah, it is. It certainly is something. I mean, again, I still got my critiques of over the air. Like, I get a lot of interference on my TV, maybe because I have like near a lot of other like, wireless frequencies. But I'm not going to complain too much. I still get it. I just kind of like go the channel up and down really quick, and it's still clear nothing I can't handle.
Yeah, and again, it's free access. I'm gonna have lesser standards than if I'm paying $50 a month, just straight up.
What about remember the freaking Bally Sports Plus that were charging like $20 a month for, or something like that?
Stupid.
Like,
anyway, we are way over time.
Yeah, we are way over time. We got to end this show. Thanks everyone for listening to today's episode of the Locked On Coyotes podcast. If you like what you heard, don't forget to leave a review, like, comment, subscribe if you have yet to already. We're available everywhere you get your podcast, including on YouTube and on the SiriusXM radio app. Also ad-free on Amazon Music. Don't forget to interact with us on social media. We're on Facebook, facebook.com/LockedOnCoyotes, and on Twitter, or X, at @LO_Coyotes. I'm personally at Robyn with a Y _LEANO. Matt Jacobson is at the AZ Sports Guy.
With a V.
Yeah,
like
with
the
v.
Ohio State.
Exactly. You can also find us, like, we all, like, both the show and both of us also have accounts on Threads and Blue Sky. If you want to follow us on there, you can easily find us. You just got to search us up. We can provide that for you if you'd like as well at some point. But just interact with us, ask us any question you might have. We can answer right back or on a future episode of the Locked On Coyotes podcast. Thanks again, everyone, for listening to today's episode. Hope you guys are staying safe out there. Hope you guys are staying healthy. And don't forget to howl on.